Welcome to the Dibbly Dobblers Cricket Podcast. As always, I am your main host, Callum, and as always, I am joined by producer and director, dinner lady. That actually is factually correct this evening.
I'm literally looking at the lasagna in the oven.
know.
So.
You're like, hurry up and do the intro because we eat.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I want to call you. Well, it's a few names, but better not hear them on the podcast. Andrew, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm tired actually.
I was about to say I am tired. That rolling this evening was tough work.
It's this doing groundwork and then recording the podcast is just it's no. I'm not sure it's the best plan we've ever had. I'll be honest, but
we'll roll with it.
Hey,
see what I did there. Anyway, what's coming up on this show, Callum?
On tonight's episode, we have got Liam Sweeney joining us from Strathmore Cricket Club, and Jack Hogarth decided to crash the party and join us as well.
Yeah, we see a lot of that this year, though.
So we caught up with Liam just to have a chat about Strathmore and their year ahead, and also look at the sort of NEC. So
yeah, it's a bit of an NEC preview and interview all in one.
We kind of just matched it all together.
Did. So without further ado, we'll just crack onto that then, won't we?
Might as well.
Yeah. So we're joined by Strathmore player and fellow podcaster, Liam Sweeney, as well as Jack Hogarth seems to still be hanging around.
He's just on the call from last week.
He's just no left.
I'm still watching the football from last week. Still no score.
Liam, thank you very much for joining us. How are you getting on?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. All is good. Can't complain.
All of our YouTube viewers are going to be confused that your name says Matthew Parker on it.
Yes. So basically, for anyone who knows Hogi, his organisation skills are terrible. So in order to record any podcasts, I've stolen his laptop. So it auto signs me in as Matthew Parker. So for any Matthew Parker fans out there, sorry, you've got the slightly uglier version today.
Yeah. So well.
But yeah, he's a shocking bloke.
Brilliant. So disorganized. You stole his laptop and he doesn't even know.
Exactly. I've had it for 4 pods and he still hasn't found his one. Yeah. Sorry, Andrew.
No worries at all. No worries at all. The season's what? A week and 2 days away. How are you shaping up at Strathmore? Give us the gossip.
What can I tell you? We lost a few players. So Hasib Kiani and Imran have moved off. They're on to move to Dunakeer, who have just been promoted to Esca 1, the top league in the East. Mohammed Shoaib, he's moved to Dundee High School just this week.
All right.
So he's going there. So yeah, there was a little bit of a kind of rebuild, and being a captain of a team not in a big city, it's difficult to, where do you find players? Where do you magic up some players? So we've had a couple of guys that have joined us that are students at Dundee Uni. So they've come along and trained. We had 4 sessions in the winter as well. Jack came along and coached one of them. Thank you very much, Hogi. We had Megan McCall. Megan came to us from Arbroath. She was keen to change the scenery, so we've had Megan along. And we've also lost Big Sammy Ejaz. He was stolen by Meagle. Big shout out to Meagle Thieves. But no, and we've recruited a young South African amateur actually arrived today, a guy called Lance Truman. So I went and collected Lance from the airport this morning, and he's had his first session tonight.
Didn't steal him en route. Is that what it was for?
Yeah, he signed a he signed a 10-year deal, so they need to
So we
pay.
know we know Meagle's overseas signing next year then.
yeah, we do the hard work and they just pinch them. But no. So do you know what? We've also got Knoxy, Steve Knox. He's coming along and coaching us now on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
So we're trying to kind of put a little bit more emphasis that players buy in and get a little bit back from the club. So the club have backed us by appointing Knoxy as our senior coach, in the hope that we get more players down, more players training, more players improving and picking up from him, and hopefully that could drive success on the pitch. So we had 16 boys at training on Tuesday night, which is the highest that we've had for a long time. We had 22 different players listed for last weekend and this weekend. So we're starting to kind of grow a little bit. We've got 4 young lads that are 12, 13 maybe now, that are all started training with the seniors as well. So they'll start taking part in sessions, and we're just really trying to kind of drive the club on a little bit and generate some more youths. We've got lots and lots of kids that are coming to the club that are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe, but we don't have ready-made replacements that can come in and play second team cricket yet. So the hope is that these 4 that we've identified, we can keep them together as a quartet and push them into senior cricket. So yeah, that's what's happening at Strathy just now, lads.
I suppose it's slight difficulty for you as skipper that you've got is that your 2s are playing R&D cricket, which I suppose for the best one in the world, it's not the strongest standard of cricket. I mean, so it's a big step up for you for guys to go from there straight into the NECs. That must be pretty tough.
Yeah, you're spot on, Cal. Yeah, it's difficult. Basically, we struggled with numbers last year to try and justify having 2 competitive teams that could potentially play on the same day. I think last year we would have struggled to put out 22 on a Saturday, for example.
Yeah.
But I think this season I think the committee almost said, go on then, like increase your numbers, show that there's enough there, and then we can push the second team up next season. So that's the plan. I was trying to push for it to be this year, but we're probably going to have to wait a year. But yeah, it's hard to keep players that are just missing out on the first team, because it is quite a substantial drop. But we're looking to, pick friendlies or see if we can get some challenging fixtures in there for our spare Sundays that might come our way, and see if they can go the distance in one of the 2 county cups. See how they might do in that. But yeah, it's a challenge. It is a challenge. But do you know what? I quite enjoy a bit of responsibility, and sometimes you find if you don't do it yourself, then nothing will happen. So you just kind of got to run with it a wee bit. But like you lads cutting the grass up in Red Albion.
Yeah. Yeah, know that one very well. I suppose logistically you've got challenges for a second Saturday team at the moment, with another club playing on your ground every other week as well. Although obviously Kinloch have got some exciting developments, so that should hopefully change in the relatively short term, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of a tactic that I thought of and said, well, okay, we won't have to play home Saturdays if we put our second team up, because our ground will be in use. So that'll mean that our competitive fixtures at home would have to be played on a Sunday, when we would definitely get out 11 players. But it fell on deaf ears. They wouldn't listen. So we are where we are. But
the management committee would have bought into that either, to be fair. But
I know. But I couldn't see any other way around it, to be honest, and I thought it might work.
Aye, well, because I suppose the problem is with Kinloch is that they've got their developments obviously at I can't remember the park in Dundee, but they obviously wouldn't be able to host NEC games there, so I suppose that would still be a problem for a while. I know there's talk of them trying to develop a grass wicket, but I think that would be a much longer term aspiration from conversations with them. So
yeah, it's a big ask, isn't it? Like when you go on committees and you see how finances work and clubs work, and how much tractor costs, or how much a decent mower costs, or how much it costs to employ a groundsman. Like, you know what I mean? It's difficult. It's difficult for clubs like that. So take my hat off to them how they managed to, build a club from scratch. So yeah,
Well, they've been on
fair play.
international television, so there's a lot to live up to.
Yes, mate, I saw that. That was class. Hey, I'll tell you what. I bet next season there's a lot more clubs doing kit launches and doing stuff like that off the back of watching their social media. So, yeah, well done. Thinking outside the box is class.
It did worry me that it was coloured clothing with a red ball, but that's a minor detail.
They've also they've booked out Fort Hill for the whole season Wednesday nights as well, like the indoor dome to train for the whole summer. So they must get decent numbers in that as well. To be fair,
Well, they've got
they were supposed to play us in a friendly, mate. They were supposed.
Jesus.
They're supposed to play us in a friendly, Hogue, but obviously it was too wet. But they'd asked if they could play like a combination of 15 players basically over the course of the day. So getting players from somewhere.
To see how that panned out.
Yeah.
Everyone bowl a ball in and over.
Right, so season ahead then. Obviously last year, I think was a mixed season for Strathmore, I think it's fair to say. Ended up 8th in the table when all was said and done. As you said, you've lost, I think fair to say, 3, and obviously you've replaced Tian Brits with another overseas player, but 3 very strong performers in losing to Akiane and Sami Ijaz as well. What are you expecting this year?
Yeah, last season was a disappointment. We'd hoped to be top 4. I would have said would have been a fair objective last season. I think we got one doing. Aberdeenshire gave us a proper beating, but other than that, we were in every single game, ahead in every single game. You could argue. So yeah, crucial points in games we kind of let ourselves down. Like Tian, for example, scored back-to-back hundreds and losing, and we lost both those games, which is, if your batsman goes out and gets you a ton, usually you in Scottish cricket that's going to get you over the line, but it didn't. So this season we've set ourselves what we believe are realistic, achievable objectives. Can't let you into those secrets, but we've got the players. We've got the players. If we buy in and we practice a bit harder and we take a little bit or more ownership in our own games, then there's absolutely plenty of players there that can step up and score those runs and take those wickets that we'll miss from Hasib and Sami, in particular. My brother, for example, has got a lot better availability this year, so I'm hoping he can turn up and take some wickets, score some runs. Megan is definitely capable as well, and hopefully a couple of the boys that have joined, in particular, there's one that's a student who's come from India, Vineeth Suresh, looks a real handy player. So sometimes you just need a bit of luck, the right player to turn up. So
absolutely,
And
hopefully,
yourself to take 50 wickets, obviously.
I've been a bit unwell actually
since 1.5 or something.
Yeah, I'm just good at bowling straight balls. That's all I do. But yes, yeah. So hopefully between us all we can pitch in and improve, and definitely finish higher up than 8th anyway, for sure.
I suppose there's 2 less teams this year, so 8th is a much more problematic position to be in this season than it was last season, I suppose.
Aye, it was getting farcical how many teams could have went down last season. At one point, I was never really considered it, and then all of a sudden I thought, I think 5 teams can come out of this league at one point. It was getting a bit crazy, but I suppose it breeds competition, and I suppose it breeds. It's good to see new teams coming into the league and gives the teams in the league below something to aim for as well.
Yeah, certainly. Right, let's talk about the division a bit wider. Obviously Arbroath come down. They're you would expect to be pretty strong.
Hoagie's like, no. Back-to-back relegation.
I'm reserving comment.
Politician's answer. Who do you see challenging for the title, or who do we as a group see challenging for the title this year?
Yeah, Arbroath have got to be up there. Aberdeenshire will be up there. I think Huntly. I think Huntly could do some bits. They've got a couple of overseas players like they do most years. I think they've got a guy that plays first grade cricket in Western Australia. It's apparently a real good player. And then a younger South African, I think. So that, you know, it's bad enough going up to Huntly, but if you've got somebody that charges in that plays first grade cricket in Western Australia, then I think I'll be looking for it to rain that day. But yeah, I think
the pads will be in forfeit.
Oh yeah, I've left my pads, lads. I've got an injury. But yeah, so I think Huntly will have a good chance. I think Aberdeenshire will be there or thereabouts. Arbroath have got a couple of overseas and have retained most of their team from last season, I believe. So
right.
Yeah,
I think a big question mark over them was kind of how many of their squad would be prepared to actually step down and play NEC cricket, because I mean they had guys representing Scotland and things, so or at least age group and regional squads. Would they want to play NEC? So I suppose that was always a big question mark for me over them. Was actually, yeah, on paper, if you took this team from last year, they should be strong, but are we going to see the team from last year? Was kind of my question mark over them.
Mm-hmm. Time will tell. Time will tell, Carl. I suppose you've got, like, I know, like Ross McLean lives in Edinburgh. Bryce, the captain, I think lives near Stirling. So, you know, fair play to those lads for commuting that way to play. Well, you're not commuting, travelling all that way to play cricket for your hometown club. So, hats off to them. But you'd like to think a lot of these lads that would take a bit of responsibility, like they were relegated fair and square. They've won 1 or 2 games in the league. You know, they need to prove that they are capable of playing in the Eastern Prem by horsing the NEC and going straight back up. So you'd like to think these players will show that they're good enough and go back up and, you know, set the record straight that Arbroath should be in the top.
I couldn't agree anymore, to be honest. They're the ones that ended up them being there, so it would be a bit bad to walk away at this stage. You need to go back to the drawing board. But to be honest, like I do take the mick, but that's a massive club, and even for us, like at the time, like, oh, they've been relegated, brilliant, but we'll miss the games against them as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's always a good day at both grounds, loads of spectators, and obviously a big game. So in that sense, I hope they do come straight back up, but I really don't think it'll be straightforward at all. I'd say Aberdeen and Huntly are both really good sides, so I think they'll have the work cut out for them, to be honest, but it'll certainly be interesting.
Yeah, and I suppose for them, they're probably a big fear would be, sort of speaking about players coming back, would be that guys might come back for 1 year and go, you know, guys commuting things. They might go, right, well, let's make a big charge, but there could be bigger problems for them further down the line if they don't, because, you know, I mean, how long are you going to commute serious distance to play NEC cricket for the best one in the world? It's not a standard you're necessarily going to commit to traveling miles and miles for years on end. That's just not probably realistic for them. So they probably need to bounce back to keep a lot of these stronger players that they've got in their squad.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Hogie, you're just
you'd like to think I'd say I would have got a fair surprise about, you know, how strong, how decent the league has turned out in the last few years. Like, there is no it used to be National 1, 2, and 3, or A, B, and C, or you know what I mean. Now there's East and West Prem, and then you could argue it's almost like an old style Division 2 or 3. That's the kind of level that these feeder leagues are operating at now. I'd say they might find it difficult. Like if you go and lose the toss on a green top and they've got a couple of decent bowlers, like you could find yourself up against it quite quickly. It's just
Scotland
it's just
international
your lucky
bowler in the
draw.
division, so it's
Yeah, and you only need what did Aberdeenshire? Aberdeenshire came second last year. They lost 2 games, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you lose a couple of games early doors, and a team runs away with it and only loses 1, then you're tatties. So
that's the most difficult thing about the NEC, though. Really, is adapting to the wickets. Like, I know, obviously, the high school have gone out the league this year, but even if you're a T and Brits going to down the Craig where it's going to be ahead of a length, pretty tricky. So I think the best teams in that league are teams who can adapt to the not so great away days. Talk about going to Huntly, that's like going to Stoke on the Tuesday night, and then you're down the Craigs and stuff. So
lots of visits to Forfar.
Love going to Forfar. Don't mind that.
God's country, mate. God's country.
God's country.
my neck of the woods when I were a lad. Anyway.
So how many teams go down this year then?
Yeah. Do you know that, lads? Is it 2 up, 2 down?
Well, potentially. I think it's as you were in terms of the playing conditions from last year. So technically, the top 2 in Division 1 will be entitled to promotion to the North East Championship, unless the SPCU committee member sitting next to me disagrees.
I would say there's no official answer currently. Would be my understanding, because I believe there might be some.
What? There's not an answer.
Well, I believe there might be some.
I
believe there may be some changes to the NEC next year, with clubs potentially shuffling around.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, that was mentioned at the SPCU AGM. So, I mean, it's not exactly like I'm divulging confidential information, but I think there's some potential that there may be some applicants who are currently not in the SPCU, and one of the requirements is that the committee should put the club where their level is. So that could well impact. And I think there's a sort of keenness to avoid another 12-team division, which I personally think is a good thing. I thought the split situation last year was a bit ridiculous. Your Meagle and Aberdeenshire in reality had very different run-ins to each other, and I think that should always be avoided. So yeah, I don't think there's a massively solid answer on that. I think you'll probably find it would only be one anyway, because I'd imagine it's more touched on next week's show. I think Ducats 2s probably would be up there again, as they've been for many years in Division 1, so they probably almost straight away take out one of the spots.
Unless their ones go up.
No, they take out one of the spots, because that's not going to happen.
Oh, wow. Not see them. Do you not see them as a dark horse potentially?
I see them. I could see Ducat dictating where the title goes. I don't see that Ducat are going to win the title. They've certainly got enough ability within their squad, I would suggest, to cause upsets. They might beat an Arbroath, they might beat an Aberdeen, Huntly, whoever. But I don't think that, because I think they still possess a squad of players who don't have consistency.
Yeah.
I also think probably their bowling attack, they've got Safi in it, but I think most of their other seamers are probably more suited to bowling with a red ball than a pink ball. I think that will probably impact. I mean, I think most bowlers are more suited to playing with a red ball than a pink ball, to be fair.
I'm still crying about it.
I mean, I suppose it's a bit of off on a tangent, but obviously, Jack, you've been doing it in the EPL already, but, Liam, I think you'll have experience with a pink ball, but how as a spinner do you fight? How do you think that's going to impact the game? You know, that change to the 2 pink balls this year.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that from what I've spoke to some of the lads that play with them regularly, and they seem to be pretty average quality for starters. So, I quite like bowling with the new ball, with the new pink ball, because it seems to work well with what I try and do, which is land it straight and let it basically kiss the surface. So when the gloss is still on the ball and the shine is still on the ball, it seems to work quite well. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't manage to maybe get a better grade of ball for starters, so we didn't have to go one off each end. Or if we went one off each end, at least they're going to hold shape for a little bit longer. I've heard that they go pretty soft pretty quick once the lacquer's off them. So yeah, from a spinner's point of view, it's not great news. I like the nice seam that was on the Duke's red ball and that kind of gripped in the surface a bit more. But this pink ball, we'll find out in time, might actually work for maybe a spinner bowling earlier in the innings whilst there still is a little bit of gloss on the ball, and it might just kiss the surface and
do you think that might
catch
be a
those batsmen.
Do you think that might be a tactic we see from more clubs then, is actually potentially employing a spinner earlier doors? Thinking of an Arbroath, you know, somebody like possibly Ross McLean, kind of bolt, probably he'll get the ball to go straighter on. Hogi's like, what the heck?
That's made the worst call of all time. I don't think he's ever not got it to go straight on. I think.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, that with a pink ball, where you're not expecting to rag it at any point.
Maybe. I actually prefer bowling with a pink ball. Don't ask me why. There's not a reason. It just feels better in the hand. I don't know what it is. I always liked it before.
No, the Grizzly ones, though.
No, not them. No, not them.
They felt better in the field. Or the trees.
Felt better when I was picking it up from Marbella, but no, I don't know. I just preferred it, but as Sween says, with the red ball, definitely a bigger seam and stuff. But there wasn't too many teams in the EPL last year that started up with a spinner, certainly against us anyway. But it'll be interesting to see if teams want to go down that route. But it's obviously the 2 out is the other thing. And because the pink ball is so hard to start with, it flies off the bat in that first 10. So that's probably the danger with opening up with a spinner, is if somebody gets going like a Safi or whatever, then you could be chasing it for a while.
Yeah, I suppose with the best one in the world, though, in the NEC, there are less destructive opening batsmen than what you've got in the EPL. There are still quite a lot of the clubs probably adopt a slightly more conservative approach to opening up, I would suggest, where they might actually have the guy who they think, well, there's a chance they're going to bat the 45 overs, rather than this guy's going to go out and smash the ball to all parts, which, you know, a batting lineup like Forfarshire is blessed with having. So
I don't know. I seen how he played reverse sweep tonight, so things could be changing. Everybody's lit, and he showed me a photo of a guy in the IPL hitting sixes, and his front foot stays closed, and he's like, "Do you reckon this works?" So, you know, maybe your classic batters like your Graham Ferguson from Ducat, and
I mean, he's not even playing Saturday cricket anymore.
He should be, because he's a gun. He should still be opening the batting for their first team.
I think the eyes and the back are going is the slight problem Fergie has nowadays.
Yeah, he scored a heap load of runs.
Oh yeah, absolutely has.
Yeah. So I suppose we kind of touched on the top end of the table. Just seeing as the Zoom's giving us a warning, I suppose we better not hang about for too long. But we've touched on the top end of the table. I think we're sort of it probably seems to be in relative agreement that the top three are likely to be Arbroath, Aberdeenshire, Huntly. Kind of makes sense. It's your relegated team and your next two that didn't go up last year. And yeah, I certainly think that seems sensible. But at the, Liam, we touched on you guys being eighth and things like that. But where are we seeing at the other end? We've got new guys, Falkland, their twos are up in the league. Kinloch, I think, were they 9?
They were
last
9.
year?
Yeah. Rookie finished the year 5th, but
Well,
I don't think they did. They win a game without Safi in their side
No,
last
and
year?
I got abuse for saying that Safi carried that team, but I think clearly there was evidence of that. So, I mean,
they're a team to watch for
yeah,
finishing much lower down the table than they did last year. I think. I don't know what business they've done in terms of bringing players in. Anyone else? Any insight on that?
Nah,
The
I'm
lad
sure
Stonebridge is still
Stonebridge
there.
will be there.
Yeah.
Ian and I think his brother.
I mean, they've got
sure.
they've got a better squad than how they performed without Safi. Like there's even without Safi, there are good players in that club. But I think they did have
The
problems.
big fella's good, is he not?
Dale.
What's the big guy's name? Dale Cowan. Jesus, I don't want punched in the face by him, but he's handy enough, is he not?
He's like a man mountain.
And the Milkman
Yeah,
performed well at the back end of last year as well.
Oh,
Robert
no.
Wiseman.
And
Yeah.
the milkman, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think they've got to enter the mix because of what we saw last year without Safi, and Safi's away to Ducat. So, I mean, that would make sense. Asif Naeem's another one that's gone back to Ducat. He seems to like to yo-yo between Fruki and Ducat every couple of years. But yeah, I've not heard of them bringing anyone in. I've not heard of a pro, or I've not seen anything on their social media or anything about that. So they could be in trouble. Liam, you think you're going to avoid the bottom of the table? What's the confidence levels?
Yeah, certainly the confidence is high in the camp. We're training hard, we're working hard. We've added a few players. Hopefully, if we can just get those crucial points in the matches to fall on our favour this season, then yeah, I'd like to think that we wouldn't be down near the bottom. But that could be famous last words. But I wouldn't like to be down there. I don't think we should be down there. I don't think we deserve to be down there either. But yeah, it'll be competitive. The league will be competitive, and I don't think other than maybe those three, I don't think any of the rest, they could all beat each other on their day. I'd say any team could beat any team on their day in the league.
Yeah,
like I quite like following you lads' predictions as well, and I'd say it would be quite an easy league to predict a lot of the time. But I think this season your predictions will be a lot closer, and there'll be a lot more upsets going, because teams are probably quite similar.
I found it easy in the first half of last season, and then it all went downhill. Thankfully, still snuck over the line. But
yeah, I was the opposite. Came flying back.
And obviously, there's Forfeiture twos. I mean, Hogi.
I completely forgot for a minute. Right, it's been a long few days. I forgot I'm the coach of Forfeiture, so I changed my prediction. Forth twos are going to win the league. Here we go. How we leading on score?
Right. We asked you how to be on the beers.
How many pints down are you?
James Girolami, leading wicket taker. The boys are back in town.
Who's the leading wicket taker? Did you say?
James Girolami.
Nah, come on.
He's going to open the bowling with a pink ball and slide it on. That's what's going to happen.
He's been watching video footage of Liam.
So we've won the NEC in, what was it, 2015. So this is going to be it this year. This is our year.
I remember the squad that won the NEC, the best one in the world. Unless you got some boys coming back, it's not the same squad. But hey ho.
The boys have worked hard over the winter. Some good improvements. Young Thomas Knight, he's only 16. He's come on a lot. Yeah.
I keep hearing about young Thomas. I'm expecting big things from him this year.
His wicket keeping's improving a lot. His batting's improving a lot. I think he'll have a good season. Picked up a couple of guys as well from uni and stuff, so
They're the
they
ones
might
Liam thought he'd
feature
signed.
Yeah, I was on the carousel at the baggage reclaim just taking them off, so they've come and done before.
Excellent. Right, so last thing then, since we've got a couple of minutes left, who's your winner? Let's go around the room. Callum, who you picking to win?
Aberdeenshire.
Liam, who's your winner?
Arbroath.
Oh, is that because of your loyalties? You don't look convinced.
He was a fourth
That's
player
who win
for
the league,
London.
No, I know, but
No loyalty to Arbroath.
But he's Matthew Parker. Look.
Well, Matthew Parker gets confused about where his loyalties are as well, to be fair.
Hogi, who you pick him?
Forfeiture. Or Fort Hill, should I say.
No, I think
No,
it's
it's
Forfeiture.
I think
Forfeiture
I've
second
got
11.
to say that.
No.
I've got to keep myself in the job, so
Alright.
yeah.
I'm
We're
do you
gonna
know,
win.
I'm gonna keep wide opinions. I'm gonna pick Huntley.
Imagine playing EPL cricket at Huntly, by the way. Oh
Okay.
my days. Jesus, that place. Oh my days.
One word. Out. No, thank you. Unavailable. I'm going to Prague with Mr. Maximo. Unavailable.
I mean, 1 week, Grange, Golden Acre, Fort Hill, Huntly. I mean, it's just not quite the same. Right.
Enough Huntley bashing.
As soon as you picked them,
it's just
them all year.
Yeah, I know. Gents, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck for the season ahead, Liam. And listeners, once you finish listening to this, if you don't already listen to Halfway Up Middle, it's the second week in a row I'm shouting out Halfway Up Middle. What's that all about?
Are you like getting
Nah.
commission or something?
But no, it is always a good listen. So yeah, go and listen to that as well if you don't already. And yeah, good luck for the season ahead, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah.
Cheers,
guys.
thanks. I'll just, if you don't mind, lads, I'm just going to piggyback on here. We've got a little feature on our show this week. Hogi, you know this guy, Ammon Balewall, for all of us out here, is his young daughter had open heart surgery, and it was all as a result of a defect spotted in a scan. And this charity called Tiny Tickers is out there, and they basically train up the people that do the scans to spot these kind of defects. So it was spotted. She had her surgery and she's doing great. So Ammon is running 4 marathons in 4 days for charity. So have a look at that, sports fans.
Good stuff.
Well, thank you to Liam for joining us once again. Yeah.
Do you mean Matthew Parker?
Do I mean Matthew? Yes, I do.
I was really confused. I didn't know who I was speaking to.
Yeah.
But no, it's good chatting to them. I would say fellow podcaster like ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know you love mentioning their podcast on our podcast. You know.
Well, spread the love. You know,
when our viewership starts going down,
because they're all listening to
that other
to them instead of us.
Podcast
that won't be named. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So. We did get cut off at the end there, so that's up to you to edit that, which we'll see how that comes out later. But a good cause mentioned by Liam.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think Jack had mentioned to us about the 4 marathons, but no, very worthy cause. So I don't know. Hopefully, it's on social media. Or something.
It is.
Somewhere.
It's on the Halfway Up Middle Twitter. Actually, I saw that earlier today. There's a link to AB's Just Giving page. So go find it there. We'll retweet it as well, so that you can find it on our Twitter, which is @DibDobPod.
Good, because you seem to just spend far too long on the other people's Twitter, apparently, and their podcast.
Yeah.
Not that I've not got a problem with it or anything, but so that was our NEC review. It seems
preview.
Preview. Even.
We're not reviewing it quite yet.
Look, my brain's minced. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a spread of opinion as to who we thought was going to win. We didn't do the cruel thing and ask who we thought was going to go down. But yeah,
It's a hard. I genuinely think that's a tough discussion, though. I think it'll be competitive at the bottom end of the NEC this year. I really do.
yeah. I almost think you've got Ducat and Forfs, who I know Jack said what he said, but he was clearly drunk. And I think they'll be in the middle of the table.
Gordos.
Oh, Gordonians, I forgot about them.
Yeah, I think they'll be that kind of group as well.
Yeah, they'll probably. These are kind of pretty safe teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of them could be find themselves in a battle either at the top or the bottom. So I think it's going to be an exciting league this year. It's a bit odd that we're going to play a division. Liam kind of touched on it about not having a better ball.
Yeah. So
and
we're playing a division lower, but with a higher quality ball than the NEC.
It's really good that. I mean, our ball costs like 50% more than both of their balls together.
Yeah, I know, which is quite something. From a selfish perspective, I'm happy that we are using a Duke's pink ball this year in Division 1 and 2. I think we've used the cheaper grade of Duke's ball, pink ball, for some sort of recreational cricket through the week for a few years now, and it holds up all right. So I'm really hopeful that the grade up ball then will do pretty well.
Thank me for that. I mean, quite literally, it's minuted in the AGM minutes. That it was thanks to me. So don't want to say I'm great, but I'm great. What can I say?
Anyway,
yeah. So exciting year ahead for the NEC, and hopefully we'll get NEC club contributors or members on to the podcast as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got what's coming up next. We've got a Division 1 and 2 preview, with another interview coming up next week.
Maybe Hogi on it, maybe not. Who knows?
Hopefully he'll be on it at some point.
Oh yeah,
not for the interview,
yes,
but
predictions
kick off next week.
Predictions. So
Comes interesting.
can I retain my crown? Can you take over, or can our third wheeler ruin the party?
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Who knows?
So yeah, like, share, review, comment, all that sort of stuff. Tell your pals. And thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you again next week.
Bye, everyone.